Hello, guys. You're watching the TNMTENT page on TikTok, babies. And I am Bill Banks, aka Neil. And you're on Welcome to Outside of the Matrix. Now, these videos I'm about to share is in regards to something that I have known the majority of the time I've been involved with the media. Now, I don't put a lot of my background in Hollywood on this TikTok. I mainly share my self-produced content that I'm very proud of because I wrote it, scripted, directed, produced it myself. But actually, I've been on a lot of TV shows, starting with my debut, in which I do a cameo with Terrence Howard in the movie Prisoners. I've been on The Walking Dead. I was one of Quita's gang members for a couple seasons on Have and Have Nots. A lot of this stuff I had dreadlocks. I was deep into bodybuilding, so I was a lot bigger. So those who look at me like he looks familiar, you probably seen me on TV somewhere. I mean, from Vampire Diaries, Originals, a lot of shows I was a featured actor on, and starting from just being a background actor, also had some leading roles in some commercials, local and national. Last one was an IBM commercial. Anyway, when I got in the industry, my popularity inside the industry grew fast because of who I favor, who I look like. Terrence Howard is how I even got discovered by the industry. So I had the fortune and the misfortune to get to see behind the Iron Curtain relatively fast, being I wasn't raised in the industry and everything was exposed to me. Everything you see on mainstream media is produced and backed and funded by the government. The government is directly in charge of everything you see on the media, starting from TV shows all the way down to Hallmark cards. And if you do your research, you'll find this is a fact. Now, before I get this video stricken down, I cannot say, I have no way of proving without a shadow of a doubt that it's true. I only can tell you this based on my own experience. But what I will do is I will share a couple of clips. One, exposing the FBI for spying on Americans, and another clip is going to talk about Nazi Germany, how the Nazis were protected by the CIA. And under my research, according to my research, the CIA actually recruited Nazi scientists when they were first established. So that being said, since the media is highly infiltrated and influenced by the government, you are officially under hypnosis. Because what did Nazi Germany scientists specialize in outside of chemical and biological warfare? It was also mind control and propaganda. So I'm going to share these clips and tell me what you think. Peace.
Senator Josh Hawley is with us now with reaction. Senator, did the Attorney General of the U.S. just lie to you in that exchange? Do we now know that?
Sure looks like it, Sean. Sure looks like it. Listen, he knew at the time that he couldn't answer the question because it looked so bad. He knew that it looked beyond the pale, and it is beyond the pale, Sean, for the FBI to be going into any church in America and trying to spy on Americans. And now we know that's exactly what they were doing. They are infiltrating churches. They are trying to spy on us. They regard churches, apparently, as the enemy, and church-going Americans as akin to terrorists. And yeah, the Attorney General sat right there and told me no, we don't do that. And now we know they do, in fact, target churches, and they have been. There's got to be accountability for this, Sean. He's got to be called on the carpet. The House needs to call him. The Senate should call him, too, but the Democrats will never do it. There's got to be some accountability, and the targeting of Christians and churches.
Now, I also want to add, it is not just Christians that the FBI have been attacking. If you go on Netflix, you will see several documentaries of religions of other faiths, like this Hindu religion, that was also raided and attacked by the FBI. Basically, any movement revolving around God, whether you're Christian, Muslim, or Buddhist, or Jew, if you're representing God and you share any conservative beliefs, according to these documentaries, you're on a terrorist watch list and the FBI is watching you. Just saying. That's exactly how it looks.
Subsakov. He was a guy who had many bosses over the years. He worked for the FBI, he worked for the CIA, and before that he worked for the Nazi SS. And that opening scene that you're talking about takes place in the mid-1970s when people at the Justice Department were starting to first become aware that there were ex-Nazis in the United States, and Subsakov was one of the people who had come under investigation. He had been living in the United States for 20 years at that point. And he went back to his old handlers at the CIA somewhat frantically because the heat was really being put on him over his past and these accusations that he was, in fact, a Nazi, which he vehemently denied. And in the declassified documents that I looked at from the CIA, there's memo after memo where the CIA is recounting these frantic phone calls and conversations with Subsakov, where he's saying, what am I going to do? And the CIA is almost as frantically then meeting amongst themselves to say, we've got a little problem on our hands here, and it's going to get worse.
And Eric, talk about the CIA head, Allen Dulles, brother of John Foster Dulles, the Secretary of State under Eisenhower, and his role in shaping this policy.
Right. Yeah, Dulles was one of the intelligence titans of the 1950s, one of the original Cold Warriors. And he was someone who believed that there were, quote-unquote, moderate Nazis, his words, who the U.S. could use to its advantage in the Cold War. And he actively recruited them himself and in a number of cases intervened on their behalf when they were facing accusations about their past, about their involvement in Nazi war crimes. And he and J. Edgar Hoover were really the two linchpins in this, in developing this strategy of recruiting ex-Nazis as Cold Warriors, as Soviet anti-Soviet assets who they believe could gather intelligence for the U.S. Now, the irony is that a lot of these guys, a lot of these ex-Nazis used as spies by the CIA, by the FBI, really turned out to be bad spies. There are all sorts of files that I examined showing that they, not shockingly in hindsight, that the Nazis were found to be liars and cheats and embezzlers, and in a couple of cases they're even found to be Soviet double agents. So not only do they have the incredible baggage of being Nazis, but they were not even good spies.
I mean, the story you tell of Allen Dulles meeting with Nazi General Karl Wolff in Switzerland. He was the #2 man, right, for Himmler. Explain the deal that they were making, and then talk about the scientists that were recruited. I just flew back from Austria and sat next to a man who lives in Vienna, who grew up in northern New Jersey, and he said his father was brought from Germany by the CIA to northern New Jersey because he was a scientist, and they wanted him here, not in Russia.
Right. Well, starting with the scientists, we brought over under something called Program Paperclip about 1,600 Nazi scientists. These were engineers, doctors, jet propulsion experts, things like that. The most famous among them was Wernher von Braun, who was one of the guiding hands in getting us to the moon in 1969. And officially, under the policies put in place by Truman and Eisenhower after the war, these were not supposed to be, quote-unquote, ardent Nazis, whatever that may mean. But, you know, in fact, these were people who were directly involved in, for instance, running slave labor factories where thousands and thousands of people died in making Hitler's rockets. These were doctors who were involved in medical atrocities.